Hey folks, and welcome to the Daily Ratings Podcast. It's a show where each week we'll sit down with Vincent Daly to get his thoughts on the latest movies he's been watching, both older films and new releases. And don't worry, there's no spoilers. Vince will give a brief review of the movie, share some thoughts, and of course, then rate the film. The daily ratings are always fair, honest, and most importantly, they're consistent. On today's show, Vince will be rating and reviewing Once Upon a Time in the West, directed by Sergio Leone, The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad, ! By David Zucker, newly released The Sea Beast by Chris Williams, The Gray Man by Anthony Russo and Joe Russo, and finally, Nope, directed by Jordan Peele. So stay tuned and enjoy the show. Mr. Vincent Daly, how we doing, buddy?
How's it going, Tom?
I think it's going pretty well for me on this side. How's it going over there, though? How's your week of movies, man?
Week was a little disappointing. We got some heavy hitters here. Definitely was excited for all three of these new releases, too. But I was kind of coming lukewarm with these. Definitely, excited to talk about it like always, but I feel like, especially for Nope, I was real pumped to see Jordan Peele come back, and I don't know.
Well, there was big hype for a while.
Oh, yeah.
About this film, and I think everyone was excited for Jordan Peele's third film. But we'll get into that. Let's not have everybody turn off right away.
Sure.
Let's see how bad or how low we can sink on this first one here.
Yeah.
But as everybody knows, this was Western month, so 1 a week or 2 a week we did Western movies, and you decided to cap it here back in 1968. This is Once Upon a Time in the West, a very famous title, very famous name, and Sergio Leone is helming it here, being the director. What do we get with this classic? Does it hold up? Should it be a classic? What do we have?
Yeah, concluding our Western month, folks, it is with the man that arguably defined the feel of spaghetti Western, the legend Sergio Leone. The film is only 2 years after the beloved Dollars trilogy, coming off the very ambitious Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I think Cliff Notes for Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is, I think both Tom and I very much enjoy that trilogy. Specifically, that last entry was really hurt by its scale. It's kind of a detriment to this film style.
It was shocking for the two of us when we sat down and watched it.
Yeah.
Because we watched all three together?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, all the way through.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as us liking to not liking, it went... It was good and then bad and then ugly, correct?
Yeah.
Because we liked first one, then we liked
the first one. I liked second one better than first one.
Okay,
a few dollars more.
Okay. They kind of blend. Honestly, they blend a little bit.
Yeah,
All I know is I
absolutely,
couldn't believe how long and not exactly that great.
And that's what I mean by like the scale being a detriment to the film style. There's almost with spaghetti westerns, you want it being ultra simple, almost skeletal, because it's about the rule of cool. It's not really about a grandiose tale or anything like that. And Sergio Leone, of course, is obviously gets plenty of credit for Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, the Dollars trilogy, but this film, Once Upon a Time in the West, and then also Once Upon a Time in America being his last film as well. Yeah, is something that I think, despite this grandiose title, Once Upon a Time in the West is a much smaller story. It's about a deed of land in the West, in a very opportune spot. But it is also like 10 times slower as well. It is a molasses. I said molasses with Jesse James.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is definitely this is frozen molasses. This is a very, very slow movie to a certain extent, folks. Especially with all of Leone's films, it's about hearing that great electric guitar, that very spaghetti Western vibe, and almost letting the soundtrack do the work for cool visuals and just glares across the screen. Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong. Everyone would know this film just by the opening song. Right, it's one of the classic Western songs that we've come to know. Yeah.
Very prevalent with the harmonica. I would say,
Yeah.
right in line with the Dollars trilogy for that. I kid you not, though, it takes probably a solid hour before we get into any substantial plot, and that first hour ends up feeling like 3. I mean, a real snoozer here. I think this film is almost a perfect pocket example of what people hate in Westerns. I enjoyed it for a lot of reasons of filmmaking. I enjoyed it for a lot of the production quality here. But this first hour is gonna. I'd say it's a hard barrier to entry because I think it is just going to bore a lot of watchers to tears. Unfortunately, to the point that they would probably just turn off the film.
Yeah, because the film on its own is 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So if it's dragging that long, I can see how you're not really getting a lot of people in that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. It goes to maybe one of the trends on the podcast. I like slow films. I like slow burn. I think a peer of Leone at the time is William Friedkin is a good example of where first hour of the film is a lot of setup, and then we have a transformative second hour. Also, kind of a theme with Nope that will come up on later on in the week, which I'm just realizing now, revisiting the notes. But of films of the time, Exorcist, Sorcerer, from William Friedkin, very representative as well of a establishment first hour. Sadly, this film, though, it was pulling teeth. What is established is more of. It's not really character motivations. It's just a lot of cool shots, a lot of cool cowboyness, a lot of spaghetti Western vibes. But I was having trouble with substance, and I was even having trouble getting even in the enjoyment of that rule of cool that I think runs the Dollars trilogy and why it is a recommendation for watching in today.
Yeah, which is another reason why Clint makes it so pivotal. It's so pivotal in it because of that rule cool. But as far as that goes with length of films, we definitely, we can definitely like a long film.
Sure,
but it has to be length with a purpose. And if it's necessary or if it works, and look at again, I'll bring up Magnolia again. You enjoyed Magnolia, which is over 3 hours long.
Yep.
With a purpose. It didn't feel like a 3 hour long movie.
Yep. Or even going to like a Dune, or even most recently maybe a Crimes of the Future episode. A lot of slow burn stuff there, but I don't know. There was
reason behind it being a big film.
It feels like the real estate is of the film, the runtime of the film, I should say, is used strategically here. It's not that cool Western vibes isn't a good use of the film's runtime, but it's a little bit pulling teeth because you're really just wondering. Where are we going with this? You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Even in my brief description of a deed of land being the object of what the story is about, we really don't get that until a solid hour in. So it's a little tough. The goal here, and maybe tying into that grandiose title that Leone has here, it is for the audience absorbing the feel of the West. And a theme of this film is a slow country lifestyle. It's brought up a few times in the script, and we see this contrasted with the violence of gunslingers in the West. Primarily, we see this viewpoint of the desire for a slow country lifestyle through the eyes of our female lead, played by Claudia Cardinale. A lot of ending in E's, and then we have Ennio Morricone. So, I think for me personally, while the whole cast was slightly interesting, it had some bland portrayals of outlaws. Henry Fonda, Charles Bronson.
I think at the time, too, it was a big deal for Henry Fonda to be in this, playing the character that he was in this, too.
Yes.
But I don't know if that comes across in the year 2022.
Yeah. It definitely wasn't shocking for me. He was a little bit charismatic, but I feel like all these outlaws, they have a oddly enough, a blander portrayal to where their lines kind of are drawn, what they're willing to do.
Okay.
They also kind of end up all with the same arc. And I mean, like, as far as the theming of what these characters are and where they're going.
Right.
They kind of all end up in the same spot, which maybe that's the point. But again, I was wanting to really like this film. I just feel like these characters kind of fell short for me, and specifically as far as Charles Bronson playing a cool character concept. His character's named Harmonica, and he's like a nameless outlaw. This was supposedly in the production to be these shoes were to be filled by Clint Eastwood, but he wanted to get out of westerns.
Like typecasting almost.
We see how successful that was. He just went into directing westerns. So I guess
he did it right for himself.
Oh yeah. He
couldn't capture how cool Clint was.
Exactly.
Charles Bronson couldn't really hold a candle to it.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, in the 5 movies a week till forever, maybe we'll tackle like Death Wish and more Charles Bronson properties.
Right.
But he wasn't doing it for me, and I think the characters, they all are missing some sort of hook to make us care. That hook maybe is there after 2/3 of the film, but again, it's like 2/3, and I don't know. The rule of cool wasn't making this one survive for me. Really pulling teeth across the board. So
yeah, there's something about like, even if you take something like There Will Be Blood, which is long and slow and sometimes just not that much happening, there's stuff where it's so gripping that you just don't want to stop watching.
Exactly.
And can fly by. And it's not just the rule cool, too. I mean, being transported into another time in the Old West, which so many of us love, you still have to do it, though.
Yeah.
You can't just be meandering in a story.
Yeah, I got to care about the characters at least partially. Even with the Man with No Name or Blondie, how it kind of rotates in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Dollars trilogy. Clint Eastwood he's at least thrown into situations rapid fire that were kind of we kind of grab his morality from it. Maybe a more modern example would be like Mandalorian or something like that. It's tested through the situations he's put in.
Right.
There are situations here that test the morality of our outlaws, but I just flat out didn't care about any one of them, whether they got shot or not, or who came out on top. So I will say it's a damn shame, because I really wanted to like this film, but the characters are just aimless, and it further spotlights the slow pacing. If anything, it compounds with it. I won't cut this film apart too much more, and let's go ahead and shift into some things I do like, because this is a pretty legendary Western, at least for the legacies of Westerns. Set design is awesome. It is a huge amount of extras here, which gives a lot of scale to scenes. I really think this, oddly enough, might be the director's biggest production, but I guess I'll have to watch Once Upon a Time in America to really test that.
I think that might be...
and it's his final movie, too.
Yeah.
So, cinematography here as well is great. As drawn out as this movie is, it is really great to look at. There's a certain confidence behind scenes that have to hold on something mundane and, you wouldn't really care about otherwise, but it allows the viewer to really soak in every inch of the screen. A great example of this is actually in the opening sequence. We see not a train heist, but it's at a train stop that they're kind of setting up something. Outlaws are setting up something, and the train stop just looks so like actually of the time. The wood platforms are terrible. Like, they really look like as terrible as it would be in the Old West.
Right. The setting is there.
Yeah. So there's a lot of respect I have to that production design, and if you're into the slow burn of this and you're really hooked, that's going to be a factor that you can soak in every inch of the screen. And of course, what I was most excited for was the score done by Ennio Morricone. It does not disappoint. It's actually shocking how much music elevates these scenes, because it really is guys looking at each other with squinty eyes.
It plays the biggest character sometimes.
It really does. It really does. And I'm 100% there for it, because, this isn't a case where songs outside of the film are doing the heavy lifting. This is all original composing from Morricone. It really does elevate. If I really wanted to be harsh, it almost needs it as a crutch, but a perfect example...
I think you could say that.
Yeah. I think a perfect example is Bronson's character in Harmonica. I mean, without this harmonica part to the score, he wouldn't be cool at all, So there's definitely a key component there, and I want to tip my hat always to one of my favorite composers in film music. It's just so infectious, so captures spaghetti western and what you want out of a western.
And I think as far as we know it, western as a whole too.
Yeah.
It completely shaped. Who would have thought this Italian spaghetti western?
Yeah.
Guy doing the composing actually revolutionized things. It's unreal.
Absolutely, and a huge career spawning from this work too. So
yeah, Tarantino.
Yep,
used him left and right
for sure.
And then apparently they fought, and then he said he would never work with Tarantino again.
Right. But sadly, I feel this film is all style over substance, and leaning heavily on Morricone's score in scenes that truly have nothing going on plot-wise. Now, granted, that's pretty much the Dollars trilogy as well, but with Eastwood being cool as ice, with no real character development, I think that could be something that I rewatch and I'm a little less, positive on. But this story is tackling not a lot as far as themes, not a lot as far as story, and lacking a lot of engagement, I think, is most critically. By the time the badass spaghetti western shootouts come, there's maybe 40 minutes left in the actual film, and it feels like an eternity to get there. With much disappointment, we're going to go ahead and give Once Upon a Time in the West a 49.
Ooh.
I know. Such a sour note to end the Western month on,
It's a bad score.
And I can't, I opened it up, folks. This was...
You were excited. You were excited for this one.
I was excited for this one. It's right after Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And, there's almost a reason why I left it to the end, because it was kind of like a no duh. It's going to be at least a, baseline of good, but...
Yeah, Westerns are not really pulling their weight right now, are they?
I think we've had good positives. Three of the Westerns out of the 5 in the 70s. I think that's not bad.
Okay, that's not bad. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Tom wants these 80s.
No, I just want more.
Sure.
I want the next 3 months for it to be Western month. That's what I really want.
Right.
And hopefully we'll land on that long coveted 80s.
Right.
But hey, 49% Once Time in Hollywood. I have seen this.
Once Upon a Time in the West.
Oh, did I say Hollywood?
You got Tarantino on the line.
I saw this a while ago. I was unimpressed with it.
Sure.
And I had that same thing of, I like Westerns. You know how partial I am to John Wayne Westerns, though.
Yes.
They're just in a different category for me. But still, as a great Western, so excited to watch it. And then almost coming off of, what am I missing?
Right. Yeah,
because we all know
head.
that. Right.
Yeah.
It's just what am I not getting here?
Yeah.
And so it's pretty unfortunate, but 49, it is true. I don't even care enough about this to even give it a Tommy Two Shoes. And to watch it again, I'm almost glad I didn't.
Yeah.
That's really what 49 says too. You don't really have to waste your time.
Yeah, it's just...
Who would this be for?
I think...
Old school Western guys that grew up with this Western in mind? Or...
I don't know. If you're going to be my test for hardcore Western fan... And this film wasn't hitting for you either. I don't know.
Do I deserve that torch?
Hardcore. Why you're Woody?
John Wayne, yes,
you're
but
Woody.
Yeah, it's true. I am Woody in this duo. But okay, yeah, but you know what I mean. As far as who is it for?
Yeah, I think if you're an appreciator of Morricone's soundtrack, this may be...
Big Henry Fonda fan? Want to see a different thing?
Sure. Same with Bronson, if you really love Death Wish, or however many of those, I think 8 or 9, I don't even know. But yeah, I think that maybe is where this pushes into a little bit more of a positive note. But yeah, I think... Time waster is a little bit of my feeling coming off of this. And that's just the real. I can praise as much as I want about the scale of production and the feel of the movie,
right? The look, the cinematography you liked,
But if I'm not engaged, there's a critical flaw to my ability to recommend it for others.
And your love of characters too.
Yeah.
You want to be rooting for a character on screen.
Sure,
you just want to.
Sure.
But okay, all right, that's enough on that, especially for 49. But that's 49% on Once Upon a Time in the West. That concludes our Westerns for now. Hopefully we'll pick it up in another forum soon. Now we're gonna go on to the one we've all been waiting for.
Now
for
we're
4
done with
weeks.
comedies forever. We're done with westerns forever. Now we're done with comedies.
So
forever.
this is the trio back at it. This is Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrams, and David Zucker. Again, these are the ones who originally did Airplane. We've been covering their past 3 films. And here they are again together. This is Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad with the exclamation point. It's 1988. The only difference here is the boys are writing still. David Zucker is the only one actually directing.
Yes, and we see some of his career continue on directing, where a lot the 2 of the others they might just fall back into some of the writing and whatnot.
Right.
I had to do some research for this one. The full title obviously references a TV show this trio made called Police Squad, with an exclamation point and everything. A laughably short run for a show, only 6 episodes. Just like, whoa, what even happened?
It was a miniseries.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and what they decided to work on directly after Airplane. So that missing piece of why didn't they make Airplane 2, especially when we covered it in our Top Secret review, is like, what are these guys doing? They were, I guess,
making a bad TV show.
Making a critically failed TV show. Luckily, Naked Gun grew larger than its origins, and despite a few characters, you really don't have to know anything about the show, which is great. This movie is back in full swing, and thankfully we capture a little of the magic mix that Airplane had. I would say a key factor right off the back is Leslie Nielsen coming back to be our lead. He is so fantastic in this.
Really?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't have much experience with him as an actor. I want to see more Leslie Nielsen. Like, he's so great.
Well, there's a whole lot of other Naked Guns to watch.
Yeah, there's a lot. I would say his deadpan delivery is just such a perfect match for the overly stupid comedy of the trio. Like, he's almost able to sell it. The same dumb jokes we would have heard in Top Secret or even Ruthless People
would have landed better with Leslie.
He just, I don't know, he's got it on lock, and I love it. It really is a perfect match.
Okay, I like that.
I can't understate that the comedy is, again, just extremely dumb, more than ever, maybe, as far as like fart jokes and just like very, very simple gags, but it really does work. I think this film was an interesting bookend to studying this trio, because it really, you can tell that they're capturing a little bit of the airplane magic here.
The hopes were not high for this.
No,
I was making fun of it continuously.
Oh yeah, no. And even watching it, I was dreading it a little bit, because it was just like, oh boy, what I mean? It was also kind of an awkward idea in the sense of just watching the first Naked Gun and then not continuing on to the countless sequels to it. So, but it works. I really do think part of I think the reason why this works better is harsher editing. An interesting note, and I think important for of looking at comedies specifically. It's something that Top Secret didn't have. Especially for Top Secret, a lot of the times we just kind of hung around on the screen, and if anything, it was leaving room for laughter. Whether in the theater or kind of for like a funny look that a character would give to the screen. In this, the film is, will cut sharply on scenes, leaving almost little to no awkward space in between jokes. Perfect example of this, and I'll return to it, is that every time Leslie Nielsen's character gets into a car, he gets into a car accident. Like every single time in the film. And some are just cut so drastically, we don't even get a second to rest. And I think why this is so important is, one, modern editing of a comedy, this feels much more like a modern film.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, it's what, 88?
88?
Yeah, so I mean, there's still a lot of development that can come in the years of comedy, but especially for 90s and early 2000s, but there is a snappierness to it, and I think specifically why this works with their writing style is that there's no fat between the jokes. So by no means is it as fast-paced or mile a minute or shotgun blast as we've referred to many a times with Airplane. In this, there's no breaks, so it's maybe not as many jokes as something like Airplane, but they are getting a lot more in.
Yeah.
And there's just less awkwardness to it.
I like that. I mean, that's definitely learning and growing from a comedy. I mean, the funny thing is this span of movies is still only 8 years.
Right.
Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. This trio is definitely developing with that.
And it's really good to see.
Yes.
You
it's
know?
the whole reason why I like doing these type of studies is seeing development.
Yeah, seeing the growth of what's there, if there is growth.
Right.
Yeah.
Which with Ruthless People, I really thought we were taking a step backwards there. I didn't know if there was going to be any cohesion to my plan here. So
I don't know if it's a dumb question or not.
You sure?
What is this film even about?
I didn't really give it. I didn't think it was going to be needed as summary. Leslie Nielsen.
He's a cop.
Yeah, he's a cop.
Detective.
It's a little bit trying to be like a noir comedy. There's a joke that he's always walking around. Like it's supposed to be like a spoof of a detective, cop he is getting involved with a plot with Ricardo Montalban, who is Khan, and enjoyable to see him in as many as possible. He's a very cool actor. He gets wrapped up in a drug cartel that relates to a kill switch like sleeper cell agent for the Queen of England. And I mean,
I love it.
Okay,
I know that's fine.
It's good.
And OJ's in it.
Oh, OJ, the juice is in it. The juice. He's minor role. I was hoping he was going to be in more, honestly. But
you can see him on Twitter these days. It's cool.
Right.
And then Priscilla Presley as well, right?
Yeah.
Isn't she like beautiful?
She's beautiful.
In this? That's pretty funny.
And just seeing Leslie Nielsen be the romantic pair with her, and then just imagining like this is Elvis's wife. I
mean, that all itself is great.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't stress enough that I think it is so much of a sharper, no fat on the film. It feels like a modern comedy.
Hour and 25.
Yeah, and also let me say my initial theory of like, what is this, a proto Austin Powers? No, if anything, this film stands alone for different reasons. I mean, it's still maybe on the same kind of lowbrow, jokes as like an Austin Powers. Just trying to make you laugh with any way.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was lower brow.
Oh yeah,
than Austin
probably.
Powers. Yeah,
probably. But it's also it is distinct. So in that, I was very positive on it because it was like I thought this was going to get lost in the shuffle, and maybe Austin Powers one day would as well to the next iteration, in a couple decades.
Yeah, sure.
But this kind of it carved out a spot for itself. The movie itself feels a bit sloppier moment to moment, I would say. part of the this maybe a bad spin of this sharper editing. It's needed for maybe capturing that joke per minute style that we've been chasing, but it just some cuts are just like, oh, okay, we're done. You know what I mean? So there's good and bad. There's definitely good and bad. I don't want to just praise it, all the way, because I think sometimes the editing itself will fall just as short as a bad joke, whether it had time to linger on screen or not.
Right,
so,
right.
I would say standout gags for me are definitely there is a famous dual bribing for info that Leslie Nielsen is bribing someone, and then he's getting bribed for info, and it's great. And again, like I said, I mean, every car scene he gets into a car accident, and some are just like, some are dumb, but like some
they hit.
Yeah, it was a good payoff. It was a classic thing where with Airplane, the jokes are there, you maybe get a chuckle, and by like the fifth iteration, it's a payoff for itself, and you are just so worn down on it. It's actually funny.
It's the old thing of the shotgun blast is back.
Yeah,
they definitely won't all hit for you, but there's going to be one in there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, I was pleasantly mistaken that this was not a proto Austin Powers. I really got to say, Naked Gun has its own thing going on, and jokes that got very decent laughs out of me. So much so that someone was in my place at the time. I'm like, oh, what are you like genuinely laughing at? And I was like, oh, well, I didn't think I was genuinely laughing, but I guess I really was. If there is ever a day I return to this series, I will say I will be happy to do so because of Leslie Nielsen. He seriously makes this whole movie, and might have been the secret ingredient to Airplane all along. We're going to go ahead and give The Naked Gun a 68.
Hey, we'll take that.
Yeah, we will take that.
68's a good movie.
Yeah. I
mean,
seriously,
in the 70s, you're talking like a pretty damn good movie.
Yeah.
So 68, that's good.
This was, I would say, well worth your time.
Wow.
It was a good time, and again, very shocking.
Shocked.
Yeah.
Especially, they did make so many, so something had to work at the time, at least.
For this first iteration.
Well, I mean, the money had to be there.
Yeah.
Or else it would have gone. It would have been like the TV show. It would have gone nowhere. But
absolutely.
Wow, 68 for the Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad. Exclamation point.
And I think they lose that for the sequels. It's like Naked Gun 2.5 or something like that.
It's like it's 2.5 or like 33.5 then as well. Then there's a movie I believe just called The Police Squad.
Oh really?
Yeah, unless that's the Leslie Nielsen is not in the show.
Oh yeah, no, he was in the show.
Oh, well, he was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And maybe that's why they thought it was going to be a little bit more of a thing they could bank on. Coming off of Airplane. They got their favorite actor, and they're like, all right, well, we could do this pilot.
I don't know. The amount of time we spent theorizing on these three guys. Like they're dumb comedies in the 80s. They turned down
gold for a failed TV pilot. It's mind-blowing.
Oh, my gosh. All right, so we wrap up that film study, which turned out to be very fun.
Yeah, honestly. Did not have a bad time.
No, absolutely not. So that was awesome. That's wrapping that up with, again, Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrams, and David Zucker. So the next three we have coming up are new released, or at least now in theaters as well. So we just want to remind people, hey, we're going off the value for value model. We're totally producer supported. So if you can become a producer, go to the donations tab on the website at dailyratings.com, and through monetary support and whatever monetary value you want, you can show what kind of value you're getting. You're having a good time here. You're learning a little bit. You're finding yourself, into film a little bit more than what you were a year ago. What does that mean? And hey, if you're not going to give anything or can't right now, we totally get it. But if you could, propagate the show a little bit.
Yeah.
You hear a conversation going on about like, oh, this did well. You could be like, oh, you about the daily ratings they gave a pretty good We want to be in the conversation. Right. So if you can get us in there, we would appreciate it. Again, it's dailyratings.com. You head to the donations tab, and all of you who are going to produce and everything like that, we can't wait to have you on board here at the Daily Ratings and be a producer. We thank you so much. With that, Finn, so we're going to start with the Netflix. I think we'll start with the Netflix releases.
Yeah, I think so.
And this is I didn't really know about this one. I think I might have saw like one commercial for it, actually. This is The Sea Beast. This is a Netflix original, and it's an animated kids film.
Yep.
What do we get with The Sea Beast?
I didn't really have eyes on this until maybe some research looking for, obviously coverage for the podcast folks. This one is directed by Chris Williams, and he is a pretty accomplished director in the animation space. He helmed Big Hero 6 and Moana. Both very successful films.
Yeah, definitely.
And solid watches.
Those are A movies.
A-team, like Disney.
A-list. Yeah. This A-list movies and successful. That's
For
not
sure.
any B or C animated film.
Absolutely. Yeah, not discount bin or anything. So Netflix stealing him away from Disney's clutches is a pretty big deal, and also kind of a theme of Netflix scalping some talent this week. The studio itself is a bit of a mystery here. It is a co-production between Netflix Animation. We covered Klaus, but they didn't really have too much of a primary role in that. And then also Sony Imageworks, which, of course, does everything from Mitchell's vs. Machines, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, good stuff, but there's not a primary credit to both of these. So I don't know if this was just like...
That's weird.
Netflix slapped together a team, and then Williams,
Because Klaus was mainly by who?
Sergio, or maybe not Sergio, I forget the guy.
No, but the animation studio.
I forget. It's his name. It's
gotcha,
a three-letter.
Because I thought we just covered something that he did again. Or maybe not. Maybe he just came up in conversation.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe around the Despicable Me stuff.
Yeah, probably. But that's kind of weird because usually you want that credit. Usually it's like, oh, this studio does this.
Yeah.
Like usually there's not bragging rights, but claiming. There's something about claiming the film,
And honestly, it's in animation where it's so hard to track quality, your best chance at tracking quality,
Right.
in maybe pre-research for yourself or, folks at home. So both of these studios seem to be only in support roles, from what I can tell, though. Maybe two halves make a whole, but under Williams' guidance, I think there is a very good effect. This is a very, very good movie. I was shocked.
Really?
This is an awesome action adventure movie.
Are you serious?
For
Jeez,
adults.
from your intro, I was thinking this was going to be a poop film.
Yeah. Well, I think my thoughts here is that I think Williams slaps it together under his guidance. It really does. It makes a great product. This film is a straight up fantasy adventure pirate movie, and really emphasis on the adventure too. This feels like an updated version of Sinbad or one of those classic Odyssey movies.
Really?
And yeah, I loved it because it can also do a lot more than those old movies, which are a little corny and what I mean.
Right.
It really brought it home. The sea beast is only one of many amazing creatures in the designs of this film. We get a pirate adventure being the primary hook of this film, but as with all, kind of mixed Disney's properties, there's got to be a creature involved. There's got to be some sort of, cute kind of thing to bring us around.
Sell those toys.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Although I don't know how much they're selling because I didn't even know. Like, you're not hearing anything about this film.
Yeah,
you're hearing nothing about it.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why that's Netflix is so annoying. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's the sheer content of stuff, and other times it's just like you guys don't know what to shine a light on.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
The animation itself, by the way, what are we getting?
Oh, phenomenal! I have plenty of notes with it as far as how the fidelity of this film looks phenomenal.
Like crisp, vibrant.
Honestly, a new benchmark, I would say.
No,
yeah.
Wow.
I'll get into it a little bit. I mean, just talking about just some of the hook as far as an elevator pitch, folks. The sea beast, that is the title of this film, is actually one of many sea beasts and one of many beasts in general. There's awesome creature design here. We get some great, actually, kind of Godzilla style creature on creature kaiju action, which is
right
like
up your alley.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's awesome for a kids movie too.
Yeah.
It's like it's all killer here. The action sequences are stellar, though. Very creative circumstances around how stakes are being brought into this. I mean, just so night and day to what the average kids movie will be, that you don't feel any kind of risk for these characters. I was actually like invested in, are they going to survive, which is odd to say.
Awesome.
But
no, it's freaking awesome.
And it's how these action sequences are portrayed and the kinetic feel of them. If anything, reminded me a lot of the best shots from Incredibles 2, where we have just the camera really swooping around and it's just got just great rhythm and great momentum on screen.
Wow.
Man, almost shot for shot, I was just constantly being impressed by this film. Every action sequence is good. And I again, shocked is the word. Was not expecting this one.
No, absolutely not. And that's awesome that it just came. It's so under the radar. I mean, definitely a good surprise. And also, I kind of am liking the premise.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have like.
It's a straight up pirate movie. There's no
and you can't,
sequel baggage it has to worry about.
It's like, what took so long to make a kid's animation pirate movie? Because you have How to Train Your Dragon, which is like Viking-esque, but it's not pirate. Not like tropical pirate.
Oh, yeah. This is hardcore, like, me matey kind of thing.
What? That's great.
Yeah.
And you're just fighting big creatures, basically?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. There is a plot, of course, that involves a kid, and I'll get into that a little bit.
Right.
As far as animation-wise, one of my best notes for this is that, some aspects really do look like the best CGI that I've ever seen. Tactile things like water, surfaces of wood, even color contrast. These things may seem minor, but when you consider it's a pirate movie, water is probably a good 90% of the screen, and the ship is constantly in focus.
Yeah.
So these are important things. If I really want to be positive here, it was almost photorealistic. It is.
No.
I'm telling you, it is a good.
It's that good
film. Yeah.
Gotta watch it. Gotta watch it now.
You, for one, absolutely.
Because my boy's in it.
I was talking about you just being a CGI snob and looking at,
Okay, that too. You have a point.
Yeah. But yes, your point is in it.
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban.
But no, that's awesome to hear. And you're so spot on the boat and the water. You better make that look good.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a big part of the movie.
And boy, it does look good. Character designs, I was a little bit hit or miss. This plays into a little bit of my critique of where this kind of clocks back for me is just the fact that it does have to tell a little bit of a semi-generic story, just I think for its mass market type of appeal. It's almost its Netflix fodder appeal to it, that it needs to be watched in high quantity. It plays into a lot of the voice acting talent just not hitting for me here, your boy included. I don't think anyone was really bad. If anything, it was almost like, I don't know. It was something that, let me say this. It's nothing that a kid would notice. So we can clock it back a little bit there. But I just don't think like the voices matched the character designs, and also even like lip syncing specifically. And I believe me, I was like watching this.
Was
thing.
off. Well, that would be on animation then. That got that wrong.
Yeah, Carl Urban. There was the other guy? He was in Chernobyl.
Jared Harris.
Yes, I think so.
He played Captain Crow. Is that who you're talking about?
Yes.
So
a little bit of mismatch as far as voice acting.
were they
talent.
not kinetic? Where when shit was going crazy, you weren't getting it in their voice or their emotion, or you mean just literally the match of the character you're watching on screen?
Yeah,
you weren't almost syncing, like the voice wasn't making sense.
Yeah, the voice wasn't making sense for the character, and I think that for my critical eye, it looked like vocal syncing with the actual lip movements and things like that. It just didn't look too stellar,
right?
Which
that would be on animation department.
Yeah. Which is a shame. I think it's maybe a little bit casting, definitely animation department.
It's kind of surprising. We don't really...
And that's why I really took a note of it, because it's like...
It almost always works.
Yeah.
Whether it's Nick Cage and the Croods
or... Right.
Yeah.
You're so right, because it is kind of like, what do you got to lose? You know what I mean? It's it's just a voice into the thing, but I'm telling you, there was... It wasn't selling it. It wasn't selling the characters too much. There is also a kid character in this who is pretty annoying, but I guess that's what you have to include. It's a shame because, you get such great pirate aspects to this film. It is just like, it is a raw pirate action adventure, and
cardinal sin.
Put
a kids in a kids movie.
Yeah, so hey, listen, I'll.
But it wasn't cute little kid, which what we get in so many animated films.
She was cute. She just has way too much of the arc of the film on her shoulders.
Okay,
so it's for the story itself, she's always being thrown in to be a wrench in the works, and therefore is kind of annoying.
Is it like the girl? Is it like the kid character in Wreck-It Ralph?
Possibly. Honestly, I forget.
Okay, gotcha. All right,
so that's a black hole. I think this movie is a great watch, folks. And I really didn't expect that. This is a great watch for kids, for young teens, and as far as an appreciation of animation and just a good action adventure movie, a really good watch for everyone. Probably the best animation Netflix has helmed so far. And seriously, sets a new bar for visual fidelity. I'm telling you, check this one out, and definitely keep an eye on this as far as technical-wise. Come awards season, we're going to go ahead and give The Sea Beast a 79.
Wow.
Unexpected.
79 is really good.
I'm telling you.
I would have to go back and see what you gave Klaus.
Sure.
Klaus was Netflix, and you loved that. I feel like that might have gotten the 80s.
Yeah, potentially.
But that was years ago, too.
Very unique style as well, yeah.
And I like the idea, okay, if it's not a wide release, so it's not really in theater, I do like this idea of just like, this is a total family night film.
Yes.
When you have kids. Mm-hmm. Like, make popcorn, sit down.
Fun
and
action.
The adults will enjoy it with the kids.
Yeah, a lot of people can get behind pirates, you know what I mean? It's not, too out there. It's great.
Wow.
It's great.
It's a really, really good surprise, actually. And if it looked that good, I would be pretty interested in checking it out.
I'm telling you, really...
if it's a visual feast in a way,
I'm dying to honestly to know what your thoughts are, because it's Again,
You gave I got no text from you. I got nothing before the show. I thought this was all going to be shit today.
Right. We'll do a follow-up.
Yeah. Huh? Wow. Okay. 79%, Vin. That's a good surprise for you. I mean, that's just watching purpose.
Honestly, it was a real big highlight in kind of a disappointing week. And believe me, this was not because of a drought. I watched this early on because technically this was released, like
July 8th.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's been out for a little bit, but I'm telling you, just for the visual eye candy alone.
It's a shame we haven't been hearing anything about it. It really is a shame.
It's worth your time. And that's where I say maybe keep an eye on it for award season, because something like this can fly under the radar, but
I felt like Big Hero 6 did. Or maybe I had that wrong until award season.
Yes, until award season, precisely. And I think here as well, especially with such a horrifically weak performance from Lightyear, and maybe even a little bit Turning Red as well, this film might have a chance to crack the no Pixar Oscar type of curse. Of course. That follows award season so much.
All right, folks. So the Sea Beast on Netflix, 79%. Check it out. We're going to keep it going with Netflix. This is The Gray Man, and I mean, it's to talk about punch. This is the Russo brothers, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, the first thing they directed since The Avengers?
I thought that initially, they did a small movie for Apple TV called Cherry with Tom Holland. I don't know about it.
No, I think I do know about it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But regardless, it's no one knew.
Yeah. I feel like this has especially just returning to an action set piece. This is post Avengers.
So as far as The Gray Man, what kind of is the premise? I think this is definitely getting a decent amount of not buzz, but they're putting some marketing money behind it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, The Gray Man is pretty straightforward. This is your spy action thriller. In the theme of Netflix scalping talent, the Russo brothers are back. One movie after that, Cherry with Tom Holland,
and they were executive producers of Everything Everywhere. Correct?
Oh, very true. Yeah, absolutely, and certainly a contributing factor to the quality of that film.
Yeah,
but now they're really back in their comfort zone of blockbuster action, and I think along with their favorite Avenger, Chris Evans. I was excited for this film. I was definitely excited.
For Chris Evans?
I was excited for the whole cast, honestly.
Okay.
The Gray Man is, a very sleek, sharp-looking spy action film, I should say, specifically. Ryan Gosling is our criminal-turned-CIA agent. It's pretty simple from there. He steps in some shit, ends up on the wrong side of his employers, and it goes from there. You know what I mean? I think that's where the generic aspects really come into play, is the writing, and that's where we'll return to it. Best part about this film is I think we get to see Chris Evans a little bit back into it, channeling his inner asshole again. He's been so squeaky clean. Captain America. It's this along with Knives Out. It's kind of refreshing seeing him in a villain role again. And he plays
I could see that.
Yeah, the private contractor that is there to foil Ryan Gosling to it. Pushes him farther. There's a lot of sprinkled in one-time hitmen in there. I think trying to go for a very John Wick feel, and I'm trying so far I've been trying my best to dance around that factor, but it really is wannabe John Wick, and we bring up John Wick probably the most than any other film.
It's
on
kind
the
of funny.
podcast.
Yeah, I would say so.
I know, and I don't necessarily like that.
Lord of the Rings, maybe James Bond.
Yeah.
But is it a wannabe, or is it copying certain things, certain elements, or could you literally take out?
Wannabe. Yeah, I think it's
okay.
I think it's imitator. I mean, it is not even like Shoulders on Giants. I mean, it's not even using a John Wick setup as momentum. Is very plainly a lesser version. And I did not
for that reason a worse version.
yeah, for real. Some of where these John Wick vibes, or rather wannabe John Wick vibes, come is just how the chase is structured here. I mean, within the first 10 minutes, Gosling is, again, steps in shit and is on the wrong side of his employers, and that is then taken to a point that everyone's after him. And in that it kind of misunderstands what works in a John Wick or even a John Wick 2, where that is the plot of everything, or is it 3? I don't know. Where everything's against, Keanu. And I think it's a little bit of the pacing. I mean, it's an odd thing that I'm saying this, especially coming off of Once Upon a Time in the West, but the pacing is almost too fast that it makes the writing cartoonish, and it also makes it inconsequential, and that is no better illustrated than what gets us into the mess in the first place. It's just so weak. Part of as well in action scenes, we get a lot of long takes, colors backlighting silhouettes, which is of course iconic for the Wick series and the fight choreography there. Improvised weapons, very iconic to John Wick. You know what I mean? And again, that can all be grabbed and used, but it feels like there's a very intentional ripoff going on here.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel genuine. In the film.
Yeah, it doesn't. I would say my note here is it is ultimately an imitation.
Not a good one.
I was really trying to do even some research into the fight choreography, because I would say for the directors as well, the fight choreography is never above a certain level. It is, honestly, I would say probably Winter Soldier is still the peak there as far as fight choreography.
Yeah, it's not that impressive.
Yeah.
Marvel had never had impressive fight choreography.
Sure. And that's why I think Winter Soldier is the peak, because, I mean.
No, I know.
Yeah, it's all, Marvel Kung Fu. That's the meme in itself,
Right, but that's what doesn't sound. Was it choreography? Did they step it up a notch here?
No, I guess my note is that it is not rising above that. It falls to the same pitfalls, and now it's having this identity crisis that
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think there's also a certain curse here because it's PG-13. You know what I mean? If this wants to be Wick, well, guess what? It's got to be rated R.
You got to be the full Wick.
Yeah, you got to get killed with a pencil.
Yeah, you made that comment about You made that comment a few times about some movies that should be rated R.
Yeah,
and you're probably right, and there probably should be. I mean, talk about Netflix fodder and trying to cast the biggest net. But it's this probably absolutely should have been rated R. You're right.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to siphon that much off of John Wick, is what you're saying.
For sure. We also see some very annoying factors in how this film is shot. A lot of amateurish sped up shots, like they're making the footage faster. Some very, very yucky CGI sprinkled into action sequences specifically. There is a sequence in air that even Gosling, even mindless thugs that we never know the name of, they are full CGI models, and it's like, what is going on here? Like, this looks not only terrible, it was
probably so expensive to make this movie.
Yeah, I know. It's like, where are you putting your budget? I would say it's sprinkled in for some pieces, but it's definitely noticeable for me. And a heavy reliance on drone shots. I gotta say, these drone shots were slightly interesting. In no way were they trying to blend in. So I kind of enjoyed how drastic some shots were.
Okay.
They feel like a shot you would see in animation, honestly, like a shot you would see in CPs, of how they whip around and orbit around a target in focus, you know?
But it was good.
Yes, I think it looks a little cheap, these type of drone shots, just because maybe I'm so in tune with kind of tracking some of the real world technology behind these drone cameras.
Yeah, sure.
So I know what it takes versus a red camera or something like that. But I gotta say, there was almost an identity. That was one of the only pieces that was unique of this film in itself, and I don't think it was bad. If anything, it gave a cool film to it, a cool look to the cinematography. Again, there's a orbiting quality. It's also used to great effect in chase sequences in cars, which it almost looks like the camera's gonna, slap into a car at one point to only zoom out of the way at the last moment. So there's an entertaining quality to watching it unfold on screen.
Okay.
So,
that's one plus, at least in its favor.
Yeah. But like I said, I am kind of 50-50 on it. I do think it is distinctly cheap for the Russo brothers, and it makes me ask a lot of questions to where that budget was in the CGI then, if they're saving money elsewhere, in the actual shooting of this film.
I think if they're using CGI, that's where all the money goes to.
Yeah.
Because it's still expensive.
They didn't look good.
It's estimated $200 million.
$200 million?
And you wonder why Netflix is going to be putting ads. unless you divvy up more money to them.
So true. So true.
Where are they getting that money? $200 million
I don't
for what sounds like a more than subpar film.
Yeah. For
or less
real.
than subpar film.
Yeah. I think what really sinks this film is just very, very, very cliche writing. I mean, 100% cliche writing. 100% been there, done that, folks. I mean, if you even have a Cliff Notes of the Bourne trilogy, Cliff Notes of John Wick. I mean, it's all been there, done that. It's everything from the flash drive MacGuffin to Gosling having a heart of gold yet being a criminal to the villains being more cartoonish than these directors' comic book origins. Like, it's, as much as I was praising the return to form for Chris Evans, his character isn't necessarily good because it feels more cartoonish than what's coming out in Marvel.
It was written poorly.
Yeah, very poorly.
Well, it should be note. So it was Joe Russo. So one of the Russo's brothers was doing the screenplay, and then all the other writers were the Marvel writers.
Oh, really?
For Captain America, for the Avengers.
So maybe they had an exodus. They took their team with them. Maybe.
Well, I think maybe they were. I mean, the money was there. Maybe there was a gap in the Marvel productions.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, what did they feel like they were on vacation?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it really worse than Marvel, or were you just like...
Yes. Okay. Especially because Marvel, I feel like, has been trying for, I don't know, since Phase 3 to really make semi-well-written villains. You see this with Black Panther, Thanos, being more fleshed out than just man in a CGI suit and he's bad.
I will take that, yeah. No, for sure, I'll take that.
So, and this, I mean, Chris Evans isn't in a CGI suit, but the shit that comes out of his mouth is
bad.
The most cartoonist villain things. I mean, like, and very early on, they pitch him as like this sociopath, this this hitman that pushes the boundaries to get anything done.
Sure.
In that it's very cliche. It's like, we have nowhere else to go. He's off the grid, and what's just not good, and I would say it really sinks the film for the writing itself.
Wow. Okay. And we really only have one main female, kind of, Ana de Armas, because she's in everything now.
Yeah. Right.
She's definitely the the hot flavor of the month. Any refreshing
You
thing?
hating on her?
No, it's just like, all right, I guess, all right.
Yeah, I thought she was all right in this film. Believe it or not, and I'm forgetting the woman's name, but blue hair chick from Matrix Revelations or
Oh, really?
Resurrections.
She was like the only part that we both liked about it.
Yeah.
She was the best part. In fact, we said we want to see more from her. Nothing else. Was that Jessica Henwick?
I think so. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Henwick rings a bell, and she was in this and very good as well.
Wow. Okay.
So I would say in ways kind of outshined De Armas, which I was surprised for because I'm definitely a fan of De Armas. So.
Yeah, no, she's fine. She's good. Yeah. That's cool to hear, though, actually, about her.
Yeah.
Blue hair chick. Bugsy was her name, right? Bugs?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think this film is, almost harmlessly passable. You can tell I'm getting exhausted, folks, with this stuff. I mean, come on.
It sounds very Netflix. I'm thinking The Adam Project. I'm thinking Free Guy.
Oh, for sure. It is Netflix fodder to a T. And I will say, for some aspects, drone shots, maybe some of the color work, maybe some of the a little bit of the choreography in the fights. It is a good-looking film, so if you're just looking kind of just for that visual, that visual candy, I think that's fine. There are far worse things you could watch with your time. For instance, I mean, I would say this is leagues above Spiderhead, which we covered a few weeks ago as well.
Oh, there's a little bit more to it than Spiderhead. Yeah,
a little bit more to it, and just at least wants to have more fun,
right.
with its premise. Action eye candy is okay every now and again, and maybe this gets a little bit more of a priority watch for you folks at home that love some of these actors, these main three. If Ryan Gosling is your guy, well, guess what? Maybe that's there. If Chris Evans, you're craving old school Chris Evans. This was, again, much like Knives Out, kind of a return to those type of asshole roles that he was in. Maybe that's a little bit more of above average, but don't expect much more than that. We're going to go ahead and give The Gray Man a 53.
53. I would love. It's funny how often we're ending up here with some Netflix films.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
we
true.
really are.
It's true.
And maybe that's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Once when you have that Netflix money, you know, when I listen to interviews about people who work with Netflix, is how great Netflix is to work with because you're able to do whatever you want. Except for maybe when it comes to comedy specials.
Sure,
but for the most part, it's free reign kind of.
Yeah.
You know, if they hire somebody, it's because they believe in you to make the thing. And it's, I wonder, just kind of theorizing about it now, basically, just openly thinking about it. Maybe there is something to dealing with classic studio producers and executive producers, as horrible as that sounds.
Yeah.
Because it seems like that's what ruins movies often.
Yep.
Maybe there isn't enough bouncing ideas off the wall a little bit.
Sure. Or just even the principle that constraints breed creativity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I do feel like something's going on at Netflix.
Yeah.
Because I think it's been pretty consistent as far as like not the best things being made. When it comes to what they're promoting as big blockbuster films without being in theaters.
And even though I'm an outlier, you can say the same thing about Don't Look Up. I don't know actually what their big November release is going to be.
For this year?
Yeah.
It's got to be something though, right?
Yeah.
They must have
I thought
something
this
in the
was
can.
the biggest, but yeah, I guess it's just the summer action slot that they have.
And you know what I mean by shining a light? You know, even on places like Rotten Tomatoes, the CBS is getting good scores and everything like that. And it's like, what do you guys?
What's
is
your
it me not
priorities?
seeing it? Maybe the algos are just like fighting against me. But I've been seeing a lot of Gray Man stuff.
Oh yeah, they're definitely pushing it, and as far as the press circuit as well, too, for the three main actors.
Yes, of course. I don't know. It's just weird, and it seems like things just aren't firing the way they should be there.
Yeah.
And for $200 million, reportedly, but that probably sounds about right.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know. It's a lot to make a film like this.
I think Netflix was maybe looking for a franchise starter, especially they say, oh, the Russo, they slapped that
They should
together.
have
Good
bought
for
John
Marvel.
Wick.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Apparently, they have a lot of money, but I don't know. Okay, but 53 for the Gray Man, kind of in that it's in
Yeah, blah.
the Netflix bin. Maybe we can call that now.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, folks. So, but this one is the hot tamale. This one's the one that's been talked about, the trailers endlessly in theaters. This is Jordan Peele back for his third film, and it is not just much anticipated by you, like you said before, Ben. It really is.
Yeah.
So many people are looking forward to this.
Yeah.
I have not watched a single Jordan Peele film.
What?
I don't know if I should say that out loud, but yeah,
Really?
this one I have the most interest in.
Sure.
I was waiting to hear your judgment from you.
Okay.
This is Nope by Jordan Peele. What do we have?
Yeah. So horror's prodigy is back. Jordan Peele with his third film. He's of course done acting work and producing work quite a bit in between the time between Us and this film. You know, stick with me here because I think I gotta get some thoughts out. Originally, the draft for this week was going to be covering Us and Get Out, but we had good new releases and different projects. Get Out, I think, was really lightning in the bottle. That match of racial commentary with horror tropes flipped on its head. It's truly a great watch still today. It wasn't even just like, oh, that was good for the time. No, this is
works.
Still great watch. His second film, Us, while bold in its message, lost some steam there. It had a very complex juggling act to basically taking socioeconomic commentary and mixing it with horror, and it was just a little bit too much of a complicated juggling act. Not a bad movie, but not great, and certainly not the heights of Get Out. As for Nope, sadly, I think this might be his weakest out of the three.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Instead of more complex themes being juggled, I think the themes are just a little bit too straightforward, a little bit unsatisfying, and if I really want to be critical of the film as a whole, you kind of walk away from it with a, all right. You gotta walk away with a lack of electricity to get that buzz and that talk that was so key to the success of his films, of his two,
especially the first one. Like
yeah,
that one.
You got to see Get Out, or you got to see The Twisted Nuts.
Or just leaving that film and feeling a certain way about it. Instead of feeling, that's a long way to go between being so amped up and being like, wow, that was a good film too. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it was outright bad, but I got to be honest, it did feel a little bit of a waste of time. And I really hate to say that because I love Peele as a director so much. I think he's awesome. He's a rock star right now.
Yeah.
But it just felt very boring in the first half. This first half, the time that is utilized is split between getting familiar with a brother-sister duo, then as well, kind of a B plot that tells a backstory of one of the characters, but also is there to tell his theming and his message through the film that is going to be balanced with the horror. This balancing, I think, is a theme of animal nature and animal cruelty. I say that because I know that's the message. It's more so, is it really the most relevant to the horror in the ways that it was in Us and Get Out? There's a poor blending of that there, or poor follow through.
As far as if I can stop you there,
sure.
As far as that message alone, was it annoying and eye rolly?
No, nothing woke, nothing. Yeah, no.
Okay, because that takes me to the Star Wars. That was with Rose when they're on the island.
Oh, Last Jedi.
Yes.
Right.
Last Jedi. There's like a huge
like
animal
sequence.
scene, and it was just like, oh my god.
No, nothing like that. If anything, much more of a naturalist. I don't know.
Okay, it just wasn't overall. It wasn't cringy.
Yeah. And honestly, it is a bit confusing. I say beyond the shadow of a doubt. I think, or I know that this is the theming here, but it's also just for how poorly it meshes in the second act or the second half of this film. It's confusing the relevance of what we put the focus on in the first half.
Right.
It's very
okay.
it's like, wait, what? And where did this tie in exactly? I mean, I kind of get it in a big, broad picture, but
was it really worth it?
Yeah, exactly. And that was it really worth it is where this wasted aspect is coming from.
Okay.
The second half falls short as well because there just really is just a lot of spectacle, and I don't think it has good tiebacks to this theme of horror like he has been known for. That is my critique for pretty much all of this film, and I gotta say, I gotta stay away from spoilers because, I want to approach it at a high level. This first trailer of this film I thought was excellent. One of the best cut trailers I've seen in a while. And the second trailer had me cursing at the screen. I felt the sting of spoilers, I really, want to tread lightly here because I think for a lot of folks at home, you're probably going to say, well, I'm going to see it regardless. I like his films and I'm going to see it regardless.
Right,
and I think that's maybe a totally fine way to approach it. I want to stay away from as much shock value as possible. So let's talk about some of the specifics. The story here is a brother and sister struggling to operate a Hollywood stunt horse ranch. Simultaneously, again, in this first half of the film, there is a B plot that is a backstory that tries to juggle some of these themes that I mentioned. It doesn't blend super well, but luckily we do get some really solid performances here.
Okay, cool.
Keke Palmer is in full swing for a return to acting. She was in Lightyear. She was also in Alice, which we didn't cover on the program.
Okay.
But both within the same year. She's pretty great here and just very charismatic. Definitely a character that's going to work for you or it's not. It's going to be kind of either you love the character on screen or you're annoyed by the character on screen.
Okay.
So I luckily was in the love category of it, and I think she's great, and I definitely want to see more from her.
Okay, that's good.
In kind of returning to acting. And I'm very happy to see Daniel Kaluuya back in action with Jordan Peele. These two are a pair. The truly a Robert De Niro to Scorsese, it's looking like. He plays more of a sad, reserved side of the siblings. But if anything, it reminded me of his work in Black Mirror for that reason, that it's very, melancholy when it comes to it. This may not be a super standout role for him, but he's seriously one of my favorite actors working today.
Really? That much praise?
Oh, yeah. Maybe not in this role specifically, but I love seeing him on screen. Go back to our Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh, yes. You did
review.
Like that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, you very much like that film.
I think he would win that Oscar any day of the week, and I really mean that. And though the role isn't super, it's not giving him a huge platform to really show his acting chops.
Yeah.
there's a quietness, there's a reserve to him, and he's still doing a great job.
He's still presenting something on screen to the audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty high praise, though.
Yeah, absolutely. But these two, I would say, go to waste a little bit. Like I said, the first half is not only slightly boring, but then it meshes poorly with the side story that does not have a bottom line. It just does not have a satisfying tie-in. You could maybe say that with Us as well, going back to the film, that a lot of theater audiences or a lot of first watches, you're kind of left scratching your head and unpacking it a little bit. Mm-hmm. Where with Us, I kind of fell in love with it the more and more I unpacked it, and on rewatches, I was unpacking this film and kind of getting more frustrated alone, which I don't think was so good,
That's not a good thing, no.
Yeah, it's not a good sign. Not a good sign. But overall, I can't say I was too satisfied with a lot of this. I really don't want to be harsh, but to me, it felt like an M. Night Shyamalan type of vehicle, type of movie that, there's a hook, there's a twist that almost no one could see coming.
Kind of not worth it.
Yeah, kind of not worth it, and kind of falls flat a little bit with this blended commentary that Peele is known for. It is his hallmark to his horror. I think the technical elements of this film looks very good and might save it slightly for me, specifically the quality of night, dark sequences. Look amazing. I don't know if there's maybe some new tech around the cameras, but it really looks good.
Like the filter work and everything like that.
Yeah.
Do you think they're filming in day and just using a certain filter?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong.
Right.
But I think some of the technical aspects are very impressive here.
Okay.
Which again could be a positive.
There's some eye candy there, at least.
Yeah. Which maybe it's the whole theme this week is eye candy.
It's so true.
No brain candy. I want brain candy. I want to be engaged. I can't escape this feeling. Even how kind of in really thinking critically about this film throughout the week, I was trying to analyze it and give it a shot because I wanted to like it and I wanted to root for Jordan Peele, but I could not escape this feeling walking away from the film that I did not feel ecstatic to recommend it to anyone. I feel like it's something that, hey, if you have the time, maybe watch it. If you love Jordan Peele, give it a watch.
Yeah.
I do not feel it's something that you need to race to the theaters for.
Oh, damn.
I just...
I'm never going to watch a Jordan Peele film. I thought this was going to be the one.
You thought it was going to be the one. I don't know. But again, I think like we saw from the shift to Get Out to Us, and now once again to a much more drastic degree from Us to Nope, Jordan Peele's directing takes a preference for spectacle over the substance his horror was first adored for and what kind of gave him this, prolific stance in horror. I'm still rooting for him plenty. I just feel like this one is a little bit of a miss. We're going to go ahead and give Nope a 59.
Oh, okay. A 59's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
No, it's getting in there just like this, but it's still in that category of this is kind of film.
Exactly.
That's what 59 is to me. Where 50 might be like, oh, man.
Yeah.
59 is like,
yeah, it's right there.
I think you made a good point, though, where obviously if you're a fan of Jordan Peele, and much almost like how we went through those comedies, because it's just a study in seeing how a director evolves, I think, obviously it would be probably something for you to watch, or at least you're going to watch.
Yeah.
But this maybe manages expectations, because obviously from the get-go, I could almost see, looking at the ratings and the critics, or the reviews of this, that it was being clocked too high, and just knowing nothing, truly, just like the 10,000-foot view of it, it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and I don't want to invalidate. You could find that his commentary message of animal nature, maybe that blends well for you, and maybe there was an artistry that I missed here. I mean, I think it's entirely possible, but again, what it returned to for me was a lack of electricity that made me want to recommend this, and that was by far not a factor at all for his previous two films. If anything, that was
probably almost shocking, walking out of the film.
Yeah. I think I told you in some of the week, but I was watching this and I really didn't take a lot of notes because I wanted to pay attention to it. I wanted to give it its proper due, but also because there wasn't a lot to take notes about. So,
wow.
yeah.
It really is surprising.
Yeah. And I really, folks, I hate to be just a contrarian for contrarian's sake.
No,
I mean,
no.
Believe me, I gave Crimes of the Future, a very positive score, and that's a weird movie. So I like weird movies. This one, even being a weird movie, a weird horror movie, it's just not doing it.
Well, yeah, you just can't be weird to be weird.
Sure.
Look at Mad God, that same week of Crime with the Future.
Yep.
I mean, apparently it's the weirdest film ever, basically. One of the weirdest ones you almost saw, and you very much enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's a shame, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people end up feeling that same way because... you put the hype there, and you better have something to back it up.
Maybe that was it. Maybe I was just I got wrapped up in the hype.
You're not one to get fangirly.
Yeah,
you're not one to get
that's
fangirly
true.
about something, and I think part of that's because you watch so many films.
Yeah,
where it's just like, okay, I know I'm excited for it, but let's see how it is. I think you're much more analytical of it than others. But 59 for Nope. I think the logic there is sound.
Yeah, I think it hopefully it illustrates a little bit of the blandness, but as well, it's by no means, it's not south of 50 in that I'm saying this is a bad film.
Right. It's just the content that is there is...
Yeah. Just not there, not pulling it for me. So, but I think that's enough. I mean...
really. So we had a couple surprises this week, and one, I would say, actually maybe three. I mean, you look at some of these films and... the comedy was better than we thought. The animation was better than you thought. And then, we had some stinkers in there as well.
To think that those two films brought up this week. I mean, again, I was very excited for this week because I thought this was going to be a killer week, all around.
I mean, looking at these scores, Vin, do you want to add anything else?
No, I think the best thing I can say is don't let me deflate. If you are hyped and you are really all about Nope, and maybe to your point, Tom, that this was going to be the first Jordan Peele movie you're going to see.
I was getting excited about it. And God knows us because, like you said, the first trailer looked good.
Yep.
And all you need for me is horses and Western feel. And it's just like, ooh.
You're there. But let me say, I mean, if... You still want to see it. Don't let my score, my perspective. I am one perspective of many. Go see this film because your bottom line, you are supporting one of the coolest directors working right now.
For sure. But awesome, Vin. Vin, we appreciate you in this week in the movies you watch. We'll see you next week, folks. We're going to run it down one more time here. Once Upon a Time in the West with a 49%. The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad with a 68%. The Sea Beast with a 79%, The Gray Man with a 53%, and Nope with a 59%. We thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Daily Ratings Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, if you would, give us a good rating, or tell a friend about us. If you're wondering if a film is worth the watch, or just to see more movie ratings from Vince, be sure to stop by thedailyratings.com, where we have our ever-expanding catalog of films. Also, if you found value in the podcast or our site, become a producer and go to the donations tab on thedailyratings.com. We're looking to build this into something large and great, but also be independent from those corporate sponsors. So we greatly appreciate any support from you all. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next time on the Daily Ratings Podcast.